You think freezing to death is peaceful? You think it's just drifting off to sleep in the white silence like in the movies? You are wrong. It is a violent, agonizing biological retreat. When the grid fails and the boiler dies, your apartment isn't a shelter anymore. It's a concrete tomb. The cold isn't an enemy. It's a law of physics. It demands equilibrium. It wants your 98.6 degrees to match the -20 outside, and it will take it second by second. Your body is a machine running on finite fuel. First, you lose your fingers. Vasoconstriction shuts the valves. Your body decides your hands are dead weight to save the heart. You fumble your matches. You drop your knife. Then comes the shivering, violent spasms tearing your muscles apart just to generate a flicker of heat. Forget the heroics. There is no rescue coming. If you try to keep someone else warm, you are just doubling the surface area for the cold to feed on. Compassion is a caloric expense you cannot afford. In this freeze, you are a dying battery. The cold is patient, it never sleeps, and you are already leaking heat. If you want to survive what's coming, hit like and subscribe. Most won't make it to the end of this video. Will you? Back to the rules. You are obsessed with fire. You think a roaring blaze is survival. It isn't. Fire is a caloric trap. In the deep freeze, every calorie you burn gathering wood is a calorie your body cannot use to keep your heart beating. You will exhaust yourself hacking at frozen branches, sweating under your layers. And that sweat is a death sentence. Water conducts heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. If you sweat in sub-zero temperatures, you are coating yourself in liquid ice. Once that moisture settles into your base layer, you are dead. It doesn't matter how many layers you pile on top. You have encased yourself in a conductive shell. Cotton kills. If you are wearing jeans and a t-shirt, you might as well be naked. You need wool, you need synthetics, and you need to stop moving before you break a sweat. Your home is no longer a shelter. It is a heat sink. The walls are cold. The floor is colder. Conduction will drain you dry. If you sleep on a mattress on the floor, the ground sucks the heat out of your spine all night long. You wake up stiff, or you don't wake up at all. You must shrink your world. Forget the bedroom. Build a nest. A tent inside the living room. Cushions, blankets, tarps. You need to reduce the volume of air your body has to heat. If you can see your breath inside your shelter, you are failing. You feel a sudden flush of warmth in your extremities, but don't smile. That isn't recovery. That is your nerves dying. Then there is the water paradox. You won't feel thirsty. The cold suppresses the hormone that signals thirst. Meanwhile, cold diuresis forces your kidneys to filter blood aggressively to lower blood pressure, making you urinate frequently. You are pissing away warm fluid and thickening your blood into sludge. Dehydrated blood is viscous. It moves slowly. It struggles to reach your fingertips and toes. That is how frostbite starts. Not with ice, but with stagnation. Do not eat snow. Eating snow is suicide. It requires massive amounts of thermal energy to phase change ice into water inside your stomach. You drop your core temperature to get a mouthful of hydration. Melt it first. If you have no fuel, melt it in a bottle between your layers, not in your mouth. And while you rot in your nest, hygiene vanishes. You think it's too cold to take off your boots? Keep them on for 3 days and meet trench foot. The moisture from your own skin gets trapped. Your feet turn pale, then red, then black. The tissue dies and liquefies. Gangrene doesn't need a battlefield. It just needs a damp sock and neglect. You have to expose your skin to the biting cold just to dry it out, or the rot will take you from the bottom up. The sun is going down and it is taking your life expectancy with it. You crave body heat. It is a primal instinct. We are social animals, and in the cold, we want to huddle. In a survival scenario, this instinct is a trap. In the initial phase of the freeze, a group is not a safety net. It is a collection of desperate, shivering liabilities. Every person you let into your thermal perimeter is another mouth consuming your limited calories, another set of lungs exhaling moisture into your stagnant air, and another variable you cannot control. In a sealed room huddled together to trap heat, you are creating a petri dish. Ventilation is the enemy of warmth, so you seal the cracks. But without airflow, pathogens circulate in a tight loop. If one person has the flu, you all have the flu. And in a caloric deficit, fighting a virus raises your body temperature. You burn through your fat reserves trying to kill a fever, leaving nothing left to fight the ambient cold. You sweat in your sleep, soak your layers, and wake up dead. Then there is the threat of discovery. If you have heat, you are a target. Smoke from a chimney is a signal flare to every freezing, desperate soul within 3 miles. It says, life is here. People who are freezing to death do not negotiate. The moral compass freezes long before the body does. A father watching his child turn blue will kill you for your wood stove without a second thought. You cannot afford to look comfortable. If you venture out, you must look as miserable as everyone else. If you look well-fed, warm, and rested, you are advertising that you have resources worth taking. You need to practice thermal discipline. Only burn fuel at night to hide the smoke, or use smokeless fuels. Mask your signature. The only thing more dangerous than freezing to death is being the only one who isn't. But the cold doesn't just attack your body, it dismantles your mind. Hypothermia is insidious because it makes you stupid. As your core temperature drops, enzyme activity in your brain slows down. You become confused, you stumble, you slur your speech. It mimics extreme intoxication. You will make bad decisions that feel rational. You will decide to walk 10 miles to a relative's house. You will decide to try to swim across a freezing river. You will decide to sleep for just 5 minutes in a snowbank. This leads to the terminal phase, paradoxical undressing. It is the brain's final, fatal glitch. As you approach death, the muscles around your blood vessels, which have been constricted for days to keep heat in your core, suddenly fail. They exhausted their energy reserves. Warm blood from your core floods into your frozen extremities. You feel a sudden, intense wave of burning heat. You think you are burning up. Delirious and dying, you strip off your clothes. Search and rescue teams find bodies in the snow every year, naked with their clothes folded neatly beside them. They died thinking they were overheating. Isolation brings its own madness. Snow absorbs sound. It creates a dead acoustic void. The feral silence plays tricks on your auditory cortex. You will hear footsteps where there are none. You will hear voices in the wind. Paranoia burns calories. Cortisol shoots up. Your heart rate spikes, and you waste precious energy fighting ghosts. You must anchor your mind. Routine is the only thing that keeps the hallucinations at bay. But do not rely on hope. Hope makes you wait for the power to come back on. Hope makes you burn your last log because surely help arrives tomorrow. Hope is a resource. Ration it like you ration your water. The cold strips away your humanity layer by layer until you are just a lizard brain fighting for a sun rock. You will resent the people you love for stealing the blanket. You will hate your children for crying and wasting oxygen. You have to recognize these thoughts as biological symptoms, not moral failings, or the guilt will make you careless. The person beside you isn't looking at you. They are looking at your coat. Survival in the deep freeze isn't just about thermodynamics. It is about obscurity. The landscape has changed. The leaves are gone. The world is white, and the background noise of civilization has been silenced. This means you are louder and more visible than you have ever been. In a world of white static, any contrast is a target. You must become a ghost. First, kill your scent. You are programmed to associate clean with healthy. Forget that. In a grid-down scenario, the smell of shampoo, deodorant, or laundry detergent is an alien frequency. If the wind carries the scent of ocean breeze to a group of starving scavengers, you are telling them you have hot water, you have supplies, and you have hygiene products. You are advertising a stockpile. You need to smell like the world around you. Wood smoke, pine, damp wool, and stale sweat. Do not wash your clothes with chemicals. Hang them in the smoke of a fire. Smelling like a refugee's is your first line of defense. Next, master the art of the caloric budget in your movement. Every step in deep snow burns 3 times the energy of walking on pavement. You cannot afford to forge new paths. If you must move, use hard ice, wind-scoured ridges, or existing tracks. But remember, snow is a forensic record. It captures every mistake. If you walk out of your shelter to urinate in the same spot every morning, you are creating a map for anyone watching. You are establishing a pattern. Patterns are predictable, and predictable prey is dead prey. Vary your exit points. Backtrack your own trails to confuse trackers. Never move in a straight line from your resources to your shelter. Spiral in. You scrub your skin to feel human, but in this world, filth is the only camouflage that works. When it comes to barter, you must be a master of deception. If you encounter others, you must never show your full hand. If you are warm, feign shivering. If you have food, suck in your cheeks and look famished. If you trade, never trade your primary fuel source. Trading a canister of propane implies you have a heater. Trading a battery implies you have electronics. Trade labor, trade scavenged junk, trade information, but never trade the source of your heat. And never ever let a stranger see inside your thermal perimeter. The moment they feel the difference between the ambient air and your living space, they will calculate how to take it from you. You also need to understand the acoustics of the freeze. Cold air is denser, sound travels further and clearer. A cough can be heard for hundreds of yards. Chopping wood sounds like a gunshot. You need to dampen your existence. Do your heavy work during high wind to mask the noise. Insulate your walls not just for heat, but for soundproofing. If you have a generator, bury it. If you have a dog that barks, you have a liability that needs to be silenced. Finally, manage your light discipline. In the winter, the nights are 16 hours long. If you light a candle in a window, you are a lighthouse in a dark ocean. Blackout curtains are not enough. You need light-proof boxes for your lanterns. Use red light if you have it. It preserves your night vision and travels shorter distances than white light. You must live in the dark to survive the cold. The moment you illuminate your success, you invite the darkness in. Silence is your shield, but the snow is a recording device that never stops listening. The cold is not evil. It is indifferent. It does not care if you are a good person, a loving parent, or a hardened criminal. It only respects physics. It measures your life in joules and thermal gradients. You can bargain with people, you can reason with animals, but you cannot negotiate with the dew point. The worst enemy you face is not the blizzard outside, but the complacency inside. It is the moment you think you have mastered the system. The moment you decide it's okay to skip drying your socks tonight. The moment you leave the door cracked for fresh air. The moment you close your eyes in the snow because you are just resting. That is when the equilibrium takes you. It waits for the single slip-up, the 1 calorie wasted, the 1 drop of sweat frozen to your skin. You are a biological engine fighting a universe that wants you at absolute zero. Every breath is an act of defiance. Every heartbeat is a rebellion against the stillness. Do not get comfortable. Comfort is the prequel to death. Stay cold enough to stay alert. Stay hungry enough to stay paranoid. The moment you stop shivering, check your hands. You might already be gone. Subscribe if you plan to survive. The snow doesn't bury the dead, it just preserves them until the thaw reveals your mistakes.